Nigeria's campaign for 2019 African Cup of Nations. Many thanks for joining us. I am Rita Omodia. On our first story here, members of the National Caucus of the All Progressives Congress are at the moment meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari. The meeting is coming on the eve of the National Working Committee meeting scheduled for Wednesday. The meeting is scheduled to finalize dates for the party's primaries and nationwide congresses slated for September 2018. Those present at the meeting include the national leader of the party, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, former interim national chairman of the party, Bisi Akonde, governors of Yobe, Kebbi, Borno, Oyo, Ogun, and Osun State, newly defected former Senate minority leader and former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Godswill Akpabio, were also present. In the meantime, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has reassured government efforts at ensuring capacity for the citizenry. Professor Osinbajo was speaking at the 58th Annual Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association held in Abuja Tuesday. He said government, through its social intervention scheme, is providing safe net to improve lives of the citizenry. Although President Muhammadu Buhari had, at the opening of the week-long event on Sunday, campaigned for the importance of national security against the rule of law, the Vice President was particular about how government plans to make Nigeria's lives worth living.
But the bottom of the pyramid has always been largely ignored. So the approach that we adopted from 2016 is a two-pronged approach. One is in first creating a safety net, or safety nets as much as that is possible. So for the first time, we put in the budget a line for what is called a social investment program. That's 500 billion for the social investment program. That's the largest program of its type in the history of the country.
The Vice President also explained the government's export definition policy and plans to review down Nigeria's interest rate, as well as the import substitution scheme to improve the strength of the naira and ease of doing business transaction in the country.
Scheme that is essentially on account of the fact that it is much cheaper now to source your materials locally than actually bring in your materials.
In another story, the federal government has constituted a 12-man presidential advisory committee on prerogative of mercy to advise and recommend to the president prisoners and ex-convicts deserving presidential pardon. The committee is to be chaired by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. Malami, who represented the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, at the inauguration, tasked members of the committee to brace up to the new challenge by visiting all prison locations in the country to enable them recommend eligible ex-convicts and convicts deserving presidential pardon.
I appreciate that the constitution of the committee by Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief will go a long way in bringing about a drastic reduction in the population of prisoners in the nation's prison system that has become a blot of the nation's criminal justice system. The Presidential Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy is an administrative committee established to assist the President in the discharge of the responsibility of granting pardon to deserving inmates and ex-convicts.
Permanent Secretary Special Duties in the Office of the SGF, William Alo, cited relevant sections of the Constitution which should guide the committee in discharging their jobs.
President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria graciously approved through a recommendation from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation that Mr. President reconstitutes the Presidential Advisory Committee on the Prerogative of Mercy.
Now, moving on to election matters, as the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Tuesday submitted the revised budget of 143 billion naira to the Joint National Assembly Committee for next year's general elections. This is following the harmonization of the positions of the Senate and the House of Representatives to approve the budget for INEC in line with the President's request.
Look into all the details of the 143, and we are to reconvene tomorrow again at 4 o'clock to continue. That the subcommittee is working on that. So we do not have a report now until tomorrow by 4 when we have the details by the subcommittee.
Speaking with journalists, the Senate spokesperson and member of the Joint Committee, Senator Liu Sabi, says a subcommittee has been set up to look at the content of the request submitted to ensure a thorough and timely job is done.
Having a small number, even the committee, the essence of having the subcommittee on INEC is to enable us to work more assiduously rather than bring the entire Senate. Now, to fast track further, we realize that if we are to go clause by clause, it may take us time.
Senator Sabi dismissed the notion that the Joint Committee is delaying consideration of the INEC budget to frustrate the government.
Putting words in our mouth. I must be very clear, please, let's not be playing politics with issues. You should be honest with Nigerians. I made my point very clear that we ask them to look through this, not to straighten. It is when something is bent that you straighten. There is nothing bending here. So please, let's not also bring in sentiment into this subject matter.
Now, the planned launch of a new national air carrier for Nigeria may very well be dead on arrival, as there is a lawsuit in the offing, one that faults the lack of details for the deal, which will see Nigeria own the mega 5% stake, with owners of the 95% remaining a mystery. George Ubo, a renowned Nigerian whistleblower who is seeking to drag the Nigerian government to court, says the country's aviation minister, Hadi Sirika, is going ahead with the controversial deal on the questionable circumstances and will very well be a repeat of the Nigeria Airways experience.
It's time for you to save face and give us something that, like we say, best global, that is within the ambit of best global practices. You are now proposing something that all aviation experts see this as a slap, as something that reeks of corruption. You are going to get 5% maximum, it says, the letter says, and 95%. Who are the owners of this 95%?
George Ubo therefore calls on President Muhammadu Buhari to carefully scrutinize the Nigeria Air deal to address areas of concerns raised with respect to the viability of the deal.
Don't tell me you are not corrupt, Mr. President, and you see all these deals that reek of corruption, and you have not done anything about it. In any law, any crime, there's what you call action and inaction. If you are aware that your son is going to ATM stealing money every day, you are very much aware, or you've turned a blind, you are equally culpable.
Still ahead, professionals prefer solutions to real estate challenges in Africa. Details of this and other stories when Galaxy News returns. Do stay tuned.
Dare to be different. Drink to wellness. Drink Adonko bitters. Adonko bitters. Not just any bitters, but Adonko bitters. Drink Adonko bitters. I say Adonko bitters. The bitters with the mandate to promote well-being.
Adonko alcoholic bitters made from herbal extracts for well-being. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back. You're watching Galaxy TV News. For more updates and latest news, visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can follow or interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV, or tweet at us at GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Official Galaxy TV. Our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments. Now, still on the news, the inaugural edition of the African Real Estate Conference and Awards has ended in Lagos, with stakeholders in the construction industry advocating ways to reposition the sector on the continent. Galaxy's Joseph Oko was at the event and filed in this report.
Africa's real estate market has for some time now been suffering lots of setbacks. To address the issue, Nigeria's online real estate marketplace hosted an event in Lagos bringing together industry's leaders to deliberate and prefer solutions to the continent's housing and infrastructural development issues.
We believe now is the time to consider how the ambition of making human settlement sustainable and affordable. It is hoped that the result will be to benefit participants, stakeholders represented here in the real estate sector. We also use this medium to acknowledge, encourage and celebrate excellence among African real estate stakeholders by giving them the opportunity to gain valuable exposure and well-deserved recognition for their national and global achievements in the real estate sector.
The Commissioner for Works and Housing Lagos State, Honorable Bola Lawal, identifies that the rising population in Lagos has made housing more challenging, but says the state government is tackling the problem with investment in infrastructural projects. Honorable Lawal believes that public-private partnerships and creation of enabling environments is the way to go.
Gone beyond only the state government fixing housing. We currently work with partners, private partners, on our Lagos Affordable Public Housing. We have a target of 20,000 units by year 2020. As a matter of fact, we have a couple of developers working with us, and I can see 1, 2, 3 of them in this hall.
Making cities more affordable has become crucial as housing prices have skyrocketed in many places. Panelists here have suggested innovative solutions. They also extrail how best Africa can embrace geological advancements in architecture.
We are doing the best we can to actually reduce the housing deficit. I believe that if other state governments to join in the process, then we would have every Nigerian wanting to come and live in Lagos.
The more we look at how we are going to incentivize housing, the more we begin to see solutions.
Take for instance, even in the UK and in the States, in 3 months the house is up. And what do they really use? They use other sustainable materials.
But I think in relation to Africa, or in relation to Nigeria, we are taking advantage of the software end, because most designers now design using software.
There are a number of softwares that allow you kind of overlay your architectural with your engineering services and a number of things, and give you like a much better detailed picture of what you're going to do when you get to site. And that saves time, saves money, saves resources.
Awards were later presented to those who have distinguished themselves in the real estate industry. There was also recognition for the Project of the Year, amongst others. Joseph Oko, Galaxy News, Lagos.
In another development, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, have launched an emergency management training at the Armed Forces College Jaji, Kaduna State, for better humanitarian interventions in West Africa. The permanent representative of Nigeria to ECOWAS, Ambassador Babatunde Nuruddin, said the training is necessary in view of the civil war in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and insurgencies in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Nigeria, which need urgent humanitarian intervention.
As you are very much aware, West Africa is replete with all sorts of humanitarian disasters in different forms and shape, requiring urgent interventions. The cases of civil wars in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Cote d'Ivoire are all still very fresh in our memories, not to talk of terrorist insurgencies in the northern part of Mali, Burkina Faso, and even our own country, Nigeria.
Commissioner for Social Affairs and Gender ECOWAS Commission, Fatima Jagne, opined that the training is meant to improve skills of humanitarian workers to enable them to handle humanitarian interventions efficiently and effectively.
And important to train people who are working in this area to improve their skills so that in the event of future disasters and humanitarian issues, we can call on them to participate.
With every sense of responsibility. This is critical in enabling you achieve the objectives for which you are here for the training. Your administrative needs have been adequately addressed. The newly constructed Martin Luther King International Leadership Peacekeeping Center and Jaji Cantonment Medical Centers are fully available for your medical needs.
Moving on to Adamawa State. Flooding has continued to ravage farms and rendered people homeless in some parts of the state as a result of heavy downpour frequently experienced in the state. Officials of the State Emergency Management Agency are blaming the disaster on blocked drainages and building structures along waterways. Farmers, fishermen, the business class and residents are apparently disheartened following colossal damages on their valuables and means of livelihood.
Guinea corn, rice. Now if you go back, you will see all these areas with rice covered with the water. All this water you are seeing now is covered with the rice.
We lose our farm, we lose our net and canoes, but we are begging, we are pleading the government to assist us.
Old women, our children, this morning they couldn't go to school. You see, if you take this one, it's about 1.5 kilometers away.
Stakeholders in the rescue industry, to include the Red Cross, the State Emergency Management Agency, and the Marine Police, amongst others, were seen handy to manage the situation.
Beyond Ibn Abbas area, and the other part is beyond the ticket. We have to get our things ready for response at any time because we are having this type of situations every now and then.
The Red Cross vehicles are still ferrying people. This is the only means we have been using to rescue women.
Governor Mohammed Umaru Jibrila sympathized with the victims but cautioned them against building on the waterways and the need to vacate flood-prone areas.
Fortunately, no any life has been lost, and I give them advice on please be building houses on the waterways because water can always come. And we all know last night we had a serious rainfall.
In the meantime, the United Nations Development Agency, UNDP, has rehabilitated boreholes and encouraged tree planting through a volunteer program in Adamawa communities. This is coming months after cholera outbreak that struck the northern part of the state, killing scores. The agency is recruiting and training locals on teamwork and community development. They identified lack of potable water as a major problem in the community and mobilized to rehabilitate about 20 boreholes.
Action here through volunteer action count was to rehabilitate the water in Uba. And offshore, they say he who brings water brings life. You can see the children all around me, they're so happy, some are fetching water, and so I'm so excited.
One of the volunteers in Uba narrates his reason for joining the team and the impact it has on the community.
In the community or in a village like this, people used to go to drainage and get water, go to river and get water, of which now we are in the system of multi-purpose diseases, such as cholera and among others. So people going there, fetching water, normally they have spray all these herbicide, insecticides and other things, of which they are easily infected by what? By cholera. So on these borehole activities is the one of the most purest water in the community.
The UN team also visited Zangere community where they encouraged community members on the need to keep healthy environment through volunteerism. They also taught school children the importance of tree planting.
By each student
so that these students will take care of these streets. In absence of any water or hotness, they will ask the child to give water, pouring water and watering the plant.
I joined this UNV because I've been hearing about them and how they have impact on the community. Because this UNV teaches us to cooperate together.
The volunteer project is aimed at mobilizing community members to be directly involved in humanitarian work, peace building, sustainable development, and poverty eradication. More stories coming up after this break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is Galaxy TV News. Straight now to Oyo State, there was pandemonium in Akpete area of Ibadan today as students of the Polytechnic Ibadan took to the streets to register their displeasure over the killing of a former student of the institution by suspected cultists. It was gathered that 3 men on motorcycle last night invaded the residence of the victim, identified as Ahmed Olalekon, who graduated from the Department of Urban and Regional Planning in the Akpete area of Ibadan, and stabbed him to death before help could be provided. Correspondent Kuliojo reports that the students blocked the Songo-Akpete road, but the timely arrival of officers and men of the Oyo State Police Command restored normalcy to the area.
There's nothing like confraternity. Why is it that our school authority are giving confraternity? Why is CSO, Chief Security Officer?
Some aggrieved students who spoke with our correspondent decried the situation and accused some officials of the institution of complicity.
I was watching Man U Tottenham match when I received a call from one of the members that Marco has been dropped as how. On getting to the scene, I discovered that it was a blind trader telling me that the 2 members of the Aye confraternity members came to protect Ibadan and dropped 2 students from, and I dropped 1 student from.
One of the student from member was killed yesterday by one guy, by 2 people and 1 bike man, making 3. He came all the way from here south to Akpete, final side, to kill him yesterday.
Others disclosed that the institution have been experiencing lapses and breakdown of law and order for some time now, calling on authorities of the Polytechnic to rise to the occasion.
The campus as at present is security problems. We have been facing this problem for years ago. So, and we are actually hoping if the state government can assist us in this regard to ensure there is adequate security on the campus.
We want to claim that there is no more confraternity here anymore. We want to eradicate confraternity. Why are here people that will be giving us audacity in school? We that we are a peacekeeping inside the school. We work with any other person as a student. There should not be students, there should not be cheating students.
On the other hand, members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Polytechnics and the Non-Academic Staff Union NASU of the Ibarakpa Polytechnic Erewa chapter have condemned the arrest and detention of some of their members by officers of the Oyo State Police Command Erewa Division. Recall that the two unions have been at loggerheads with management of the institution over non-payment of their salaries, insensitivity of the management to staff welfare, amongst others. Barrister Femi Aborishade, the legal advisor to the unions, in a telephone interview with Galaxy News, described the insensitivity of the management of the Polytechnic to workers as anti-people and high level of responsibility. In another story now, civil society groups and student unions are demanding the Edo State government to explain to residents why the multi-billion-naira five-star hospital built by former Governor Adams Oshomole is not functioning 2 years after it was built. The groups in the protests in Benin City are making this demand, saying the former governor claimed to have deposited 1.5 billion naira as part payment for the hospital equipment. The group leader, Kola Edopai, says it was worrisome that after 2 years, no one can access the new five-star hospital, which is under lock and key. Others who spoke expressed pain that poor people are the worst hit, as they find it difficult to afford the exorbitant health charges in private hospitals.
We must commend the previous administration of Comrade Adams Aliyu Oshomole for building this new central hospital for us. This hospital was commissioned by His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari November 6, 2016. Anything that is commissioned is ready to be used. To conclude by saying,
in other news now, sickle to the freezing of state government accounts by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Senior Advocate of Nigeria Adeni Akintola is calling on government at all levels to respect the rule of law as well as accord the judiciary with the respect it deserves. Akintola made this known in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, at the special court sitting held in honor of the first female Chief Judge of Ogun State, retired Justice Olopade, who bowed out from service on Tuesday. Akintola urged agencies of the federal government who engage in some unconstitutional act to cease and desist from seeing themselves as senior prefects over other tiers of government. Delivering a valedictory speech, Honorable Justice Olatokunbo Olopade opined that frivolous petitioners, which include litigants and lawyers, should be made to face the wrath of the law.
I want to insist that the judiciary must be accorded the respect it deserves. The attitude of treating the judiciary as an appendage of the executive must stop. The act of indiscipline has now reached a very disturbing level that if care is not taken, it may completely consume the legal profession. Left, right, and center, judges of record are being intimidated by some members of the bar.
In a bid not to leave Ogun State Judiciary out of the global trends, Honorable Justice Olopade established the Ogun Multi-Door Courthouse, an ADR center, a court-connected center. The high point of this particular achievement is the fact that there are 2 centers in Ogun State.
Moving on to another story. The founder and general superintendent of Deeper Christian Life Ministry, Williams Kumuyi, has called for collaboration between the church and the media to fundamentally realign the direction as well as focus of this country. Kumuyi, who made the call during a breakfast fellowship with broadcast media executives in Lagos, said the synergy will have the capacity to cause more than a stir in the country's spiritual and moral fabric and in other spheres of life.
It is singularly on this call that I now extend my hands of fellowship to you in the broadcast media, who possess the strongest appeal of the minds on the minds of men, that we pull our resources together to explore and to exploit the latent blessings of the gospel to correct the ills of society and to heal the swarming infirmities of our people. Let me urge that the media and the church actively cooperate rewardedly to instill the moral rearmament needed to heal the famished soul of the nation and her citizens.
The founder also underscored the need to reach out to youths to stop anti-social vices that will destroy their future. Some chief executive officers of the broadcast media who lauded the initiative pledged support in the bid to transforming the youths and the nation.
Flowing therefrom have served to balance the future of our youths, the presumed leaders of tomorrow, on precarious knife edge. It is in all my adult life and ministry, the desire to actively transform the lot of our youths, especially, has always been a cardinal imperative to which I have always single-mindedly addressed myself.
Broadcasting, we looked at our country, so that the youth population represents the biggest, 60-65%. And if you really want to reach them, you look at what entices them. So we decided to use sports to do our own little contribution to national development. Take them off the streets, tell them the stories that will change them, and put some sports coloration.
I say it everywhere I go that get the woman and you get every other person. Because when we're talking about the youth that we have produced today is as a result of the failure of parents in the homes.
Because if you look at Nigeria, our streets, Lagos, our major cities today, one of the major concerns of any discerning mind is youth residence.
Because the youth makes about 70% of the population. I don't know the content of the programs, but this is just an advice. The youth in Nigeria today have interest in nothing than money, music, and money. And the only way to talk to them is by giving them what they want.
Talking party politics, a factional national chairman of the Labour Party, Mike Omotosho, has said that most of the parties registered by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has no clear-cut ideologies. Omotosho stated this while speaking with newsmen shortly after hosting some physically challenged in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. He stated that most of the parties do not stand for anything and advised the electorate to always look out for sound ideologies in political parties.
The number of political parties, I think it's, or even the ideology of the various parties. I think INEC constitutionally has a list of parameters for people or a group of people to meet to enable them register a political party. Until that changes constitutionally, we may not be able to limit the number of political parties.
On the other hand, the continued efforts to industrialize Ondo State and create jobs for the unemployed by the Oluwarotimi Akeredolu administration has attracted yet another set of investors into diverse sectors of the state economy. And the ceremony held at Executive Chamber of the Governor's Office, where about 5 firms came up to sign Memorandum of Understanding with the state government on their respective areas of business interest. Governor Akeredolu noted that the development would further improve the socio-economic landscape of the state.
We have a facility that is that big, that is really good. At least it's enticing. Nobody wants to do anything of serious business here. It will be at the dome. So,
away from all that, it's now time for business news with Ezine Agassi.
Inconsistency in government policies and lack of indigenous shipping lines has been listed as some of the major factors limiting exports from Nigeria. Also, major infrastructures that are meant to enhance and encourage exportation have not been put in place. Vice President Air Logistics National Association of Government-Approved Freight Forwarders Segun Musa disclosed these in an exclusive interview with Galaxy Television. He expressed his pleasure over the state of the port, saying export cannot improve without a functional rail system.
Inconsistency in government policy. Government policy has not been favorable to exportation, and major infrastructures that are needed to enhance and encourage exportation has not been in place. If you have to look at it, the good is that Nigeria is known for exportation when we do have pyramids of cocoa, cashew, granite, and the rest of them. That was when we do have effective rail sector. The only thing that can pilot exportation is only rail sector.
On export promotion, Musa said the association aimed to ensure zero rejection of Nigeria's produce by organizing regular sensitization and enlightenment programs to educate shippers on export's best practices. He advocated good road infrastructure and a working rail system that will be connected to the port, adding that agricultural products which the country is currently looking up to as the rail sector must land at its final destination at a reasonable cost, hence a consistent government policy.
Because the essence of agricultural product and other export commodity is that it must land at the final destination at a reasonable cost. So if it's not landing at a reasonable cost, then definitely nobody will patronize you. So number one, the road infrastructure must be there. And majorly, the rail infrastructure must be there. And the rail must be well connected to the ports.
According to him, in line with the federal government, all export are duty-free. In the meantime, the National Bureau of Statistics on Monday released the gross domestic product growth rate for the second quarter of this year, with the economy recording a decline in performance from 1.95% in the first quarter to 1.5%. The Bureau, in the report which was made available, said the second quarter growth rate was constrained by contractions in the oil GDP. Some finance and economic experts reacting to the development Tuesday said it showed that the economy was still vulnerable to oil and headers farmers' clashes and warned of major macroeconomic challenges ahead, such as increased inflation, unemployment, and a further decline in external reserves. In nominal terms, the MBS put Nigeria's economic output during the second quarter of the year at 30.69 trillion naira, adding that this represented a 7.85% increase when compared to the preceding quarter figure of 28.46 trillion naira. Reacting to the GDP report, the Managing Director of Financial Derivatives Company Limited, Brismark Rowan, said the economy recorded a significant drop in performance in the second quarter because of the disruption in oil production and agriculture, citing the herdsman farmer crisis and force majeure on oil exports. Oil prices dipped Tuesday, were down by gradually rising output from producer club OPEC, but supported by supply risk from places such as Venezuela, Africa, and Iran. International Brent crude oil futures were at $76.14 per barrel, down 7 cents from the last close. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down 11 cents at $68.76 per barrel.
Over now to Oyechi Ogu for the sports news.
Super Eagles players called up for next month's 2019 African Cup of Nations qualifier on the 8th of September will fly direct into Seychelles from their base in Europe, except Ikechukwu Ezenwa, who plays in the Nigerian Professional Football League. A squad list of 24 players and 4 standby players were named for the game last Friday in a media conference in Lagos. Nigeria is third in the Group A after losing their first game to South Africa in Uyo last June. According to a communique released by the Nigerian Football Federation Executive Committee after a meeting on Monday, The board agreed that the said player, Ikechukwu Ezenwa from Nigeria, and Nigerian-based match officials will fly from Nigeria aboard a commercial aircraft. It also revealed that the Technical and Development Committee, working with Strategy Committee, will come up with a definite venue within 10 days for the 2019 African Cup of Nations qualifying match between the Super Eagles and Libya, scheduled for the 10th of October 2018. The communique also revealed that a meeting will be held between the League Management Company and the Nigerian Football Federation Football Committee to ensure a credible conclusion of the various Nigerian league in the season. The board also charged the national under-17 coach Manu Garba to ensure that the team qualifies for the 2019 under-17 African Cup of Nations to be staged in Tanzania, despite the magnetic resonance imaging test setbacks, and added that the Super Falcons coach Thomas Dennerby should work out a comprehensive training preparation program towards Nigeria's successful defense to their title. Former Wolverhampton Wanderers goalkeeper Carl Ikeme is set to join up with Nigerian national team and assume his place in coach Gernot Rohr's technical team after their next match. Ikeme, who survived a battle with leukemia at the age of 32, has been offered a position as a goalkeeper trainer with the Super Eagles, but he will only take up the role after the 2019 African Cup of Nations qualifier away to Seychelles next month. Roll says Ikeme will not only help to train the national team keepers, but will also help to unearth young goal minders for the future. National Under-18 Football League tournament has kicked off in Kaduna, the state capital. According to the organizers, the tournament was meant to foster unity and peaceful coexistence, as well as to discover talents. National Secretary of the Youth Sport Federation of Nigeria, Patrick Opanuvre, hinted that the players discovered in the competition will be selected to join the Golden Eaglets, all Nigerian under-20 team.
Most importantly, the first thing is not to play the football alone, to make friends with your colleagues from other states of the Federation and play safe. The thing is that some of these boys, they are coming to this part of the country for the first time. That one too is education.
Director of Sport Kaduna State, Yakubu Ibrahim, lauded the impressive performance put up by the players during the tournament.
Even if you're going out of Kaduna, this match is to be played outside Kaduna. I'm not sure if we're going to win. But now that we are playing in Kaduna, there is no compromise on this. We're going to win the competition, and the essence of the aim of the organizing of this competition is going to be
36 states of the Federation were expected to participate.